In 1978, a Hutu leader, Juvenal Habyarimana, was elected as the president of Rwanda. After 12 years of peace, he was assassinated. About an hour after he was killed, the Presidential Guard and the government army started to kill Tutsi and Hutu people from nearby villages and communities. While the killing was spreading, the Rwandese Pacific Front was formed. It was mostly made up of refugees that fled Rwanda. The government forces were fighting refugees that fled Rwanda and killing citizens that were trying to leave. The death toll ranged from about 500,000 to 1 million people. After the events of Mogadishu, the United States refused to provide material aid to issues they didn't think they could understand, like Rwanda. Bill Clinton and the U.S. ambassador refused to take action. U.S. documents indicated that the Clinton administration knew that Rwanda was being engulfed by a genocide, but they buried the information to justify its inaction. Some Western nations landed troops in Rwanda in the first week to evacuate some citizens. They did so, and then they just left. The genocide finally ended when the RPF had control of Rwanda. On April 20th, 1999, in Colorado, 2 high school seniors enacted on an all-out assault on their high school during the middle of the day. They planned to kill hundreds of students and teachers with guns, knives, and bombs. When the day was done, 12 students, 1 teacher, and the 2 murderers were dead. The question still remains today: why did they do it? The two boys used the internet to find recipes for pipe bombs, knives, and other explosives. Their friend bought them a rifle and 2 shotguns a month earlier at a gun show. Another friend bought a handgun from a gun store. A month after the shooting, the Senate passed a bill requiring background checks for firearm sales at gun shows. And after the shooting, most schools increased their security. Most schools now have exterior doors secure, which is something most schools not used to pay attention to. Most schools are now required by law to have at least 1 knockdown drill per year in case something like this was to happen. And now most schools that have never been locked during school hours are now shut tight. And even some schools have installed metal detectors to keep it even safer. The definition of outsourcing is obtaining goods or services from an outside foreign supplier, especially in an international place. Most economists agree that outsourcing is a good business strategy. It improves efficiency, cuts cost, and speeds up product development. It has even made the difference between some companies staying in business and going out of business. But as every business strategy, it has unintended consequences. There are frequent delays that usually could take up to 4 times as long as it usually would. And also, many Americans lose their jobs to other people in foreign countries that will do them for cheaper. And Obama has talked about this a lot, and he blamed George Bush for a lot of the outsourcing that went on, but he has done just as much. In 2007, a report known as the Mitchell Report came out. It was the study of use of anabolic steroids and human growth hormones in the MLB, or Major League Baseball. It found that 5 to 7% of players tested positive for steroid use, and that shocked the world. It was much more than they thought. Another big example of steroid use in sports is Lance Armstrong. It was debated for years whether he was using steroids or whether he was not, but on an interview with Oprah Winfrey on her TV show, he admitted to using illegal performance-enhancing drugs throughout his career for a while. Now, in the MLB, to prevent the use of steroids, they test twice a year. Bill Clinton was the 42nd president of the United States of America, and he was the 3rd youngest president ever. He was impeached on December 19th, 1998, on 2 charges, one of perjury and another one on obstruction of justice. Clinton broke the law during the Lewinsky scandal and the Paula Jones lawsuit. It was only the 2nd time that a president has been impeached. Democrats on the committee maintained that whenever Congress was maintained by a party opposing the president, they would have a chance of being impeached. Republicans asserted that Clinton messed up his presidency with his reckless behavior. Other people say that this country has been through crises with presidents, but then a new face emerges and changes everything for the good. The main consequence of the Clinton presidency is that no president now will ever leave a historical record. They cannot afford to keep diaries or tape recorded recollections due to the side effects that they could affect later down the road. Presidents will be careful not to leave tracks, and history and historians will suffer forever.